And we're live.
Hi, everyone. Oops, sorry, my dog is so noisy. Hello. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wellness Week. And so I'm Dr. Candy, and I'll be hosting this episode. I'm so excited.
Weird.
You're not used to you're not used to being in the in the
Interviewee seat.
other yeah. Okay, so let's hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to share this. No, okay, never mind. Okay. Anyway, so guys, so the reason why I'm the one hosting this week is because we're gonna be talking about Kathy's thing actually. So aside from being a host and um, Kathy has her own podcast show, everything. So you only usually hear her voice, but she's actually a life coach. That's her real quote unquote job. So Kathy, so she's actually our in-house, one of our in-house life coaches in Centro Holistico. She does before the pandemic. She used to go in the clinic, but now because it's the pandemic, she started putting her thing online. So Kathy, now I'm sure a lot of people are asking, what is life coaching? Because whenever like we have clients going in or we have patients going into clinic, they'll see it there, diba? Life coaching.
Yeah.
They'll see it in the treatments or the services, life coaching. So people usually ask, what is a life coach? Because we know what a coach is, basically, diba? So so let's go through the definitions first. So what exactly is a coach? And then what is it that you do as a life coach?
Well, a life coach is very similar to what our understanding of a coach is. So that's when we think of a coach in terms of maybe a fitness coach or let's say a basketball coach, they are the people that kind of guide you, cheer for you, they hold you accountable to the progress that you say you're going to do. And it's pretty much the same um, for life coaches. Now, the I think the big difference is a lot of the time with life coaches, we work with whatever goals, dreams, or big visions it is that you have for yourself that you've been struggling to attain. So let's say, for example, you come into Centro and you have all these health goals in mind, and then they sit down with the Centro doctor. And one of the things the Centro doctor says is, oh, you have to, kailangan mo ng bawas-bawasan yung sugar mo. Because as we know, sugar is the number one thing when it comes to inflammation. It has so many bad side effects, etc., etc. Lumaki ka, nasanay ka sa tsokolate, mahilig ka sa
Mhm.
milk tea. So it can be a very hard habit to quit.
Mhm.
So a lot of the times, they would get a life coach that would work, let's say, in terms of health coaching to kind of go through that person's, okay, so why are you addicted to sugar? What memories ba does this trigger kaya hindi mo siya mabita-bitawan? And,
Mhm.
we can work in tandem with the central doctor. So as a coach, I will keep them accountable and make sure that they do what they say in terms of, okay, babawasan ko na, hindi na ako bibili ng milk tea. Or babawasan ko muna yung pagbibili ko ng milk tea. And hindi na ako mag-ice tea, hindi na ako magsosoda. And we check in every week just to make sure. It can be as simple as that. A lot of the times naman, there are a lot of emotional aspects involved. Like, there's a lot of talk around, let's say, I have this very lovely client who had a lot of skin issues. And, you know, so the central doctor would kind of get to the root cause of the skin issues, and I would help kind of get to the root cause of the emotional baggage that's attached to that and helping unpack that and help them heal. So it's actually pretty broad. Life coaching. It's basically whatever's coming up for you that you are struggling with, that you may need an extra hand in keeping you accountable without that extra layer of judgment that friends and family might sometimes have.
Alam mo yan, judgment. Yeah, because we always thank you for that very wonderful explanation. Because we always kind of struggle, like as the one as the practitioner, we always kind of struggle when we tell our patients, I think you need a coach, or I think you need to start going to a life coach. Because as doctors, we can only do so much.
Yeah.
We can prescribe. So of course, when we talk to the patient naman, we always tell them this is gonna be your journey. But there are some aspects in their lives that we cannot, parang hindi na namin expertise, kumbaga. And we always tell them that this whole health thing was brought about by certain issues in your life.
Yeah.
Why are you eating this way? Why are you sleeping this way? Why are you like that? And even if how much we tell them, you eat like this, you sleep like this, you have to do this and that. If they have internal issues, 'di ba? They have to work through it. And sometimes hindi na namin kaya 'yon. That's why we have life coaches on board. Health coaches, nutrition coaches, like, fitness coaches. We have them on board to go into the nitty-gritty of it. And then at the end of the day, we're all happy, 'di ba? So, yun. So guys, we actually I actually kind of go knew a few life coaches before. Like, I'm sure like Kimmy Lou. Diba? That's her branding though. It's Kimmy Lou Life Coach. She's actually a friend of mine. And then there's actually several other people that I know that are life coaches as well. So I always ask them, who is your main clientele? Who would actually benefit from having a coach?
Yeah.
Like you guys.
I think the answer to that is everyone. Like, everyone should benefit from having a coach. It's the wonderful thing about the relationship that we develop from coach and client is it's very personal. So just a little bit of a background as well. Like, I also do tarot reading. And what's interesting for me whenever I do tarot reading is people will share their most vulnerable experiences with a complete stranger in the help that, like reading, in the hopes that like me looking at the cards would provide some sort of answer for them. But in coaching, we really believe that the client as a person is already whole and complete, and the best person that knows what they need is them. So instead of a lot of the times, kasi when we give advice, etc., it's based on our own experiences, our own filters. So it may not be the best advice for you, but what a coach does, all we really do is we ask powerful questions. We really try to get you to introspect and dig deep in yourself and get the answers from you. And so at the end of the day, we can hold you accountable to your aha moments and what it is that you're going to say, that you're going to do in order to move your life forward. So even at Centro, I think my youngest client is a 16-year-old. So she's in high school, and the topics that we talk about with her, I love her because she is just so emotionally literate for her age. But she's going through that phase where a lot of things are happening, plus hormones, plus the pandemic. So a lot of what we would talk about might be her personal struggles, let's say with family and creating boundaries and learning to be detached from some of the things that are going on around her that is not within her control. So it's so wonderful to work with people like that. And then I also get a lot of people who struggle with relationships. So they're in a relationship and alam naman nilang toxic, but they're trying to make it work, or they are newly married, and they're at that phase, yung parang yung nagkakapaan pa kayo ng ugali, and you guys are trying to figure out like what would work for you. And then there's the friction there. So, those are the very different topics that I work with. And then a lot of people have health goals. A lot of them are weight release. And a lot of them are trying to kind of break their addictions from certain types of food. So that's an area that I work with as well. So, 'di ba napaka-broad ng topic.
Super.
So
Kaya nga
it's really
life eh.
oh, it really is everyone. And I think, people keep asking parang, oh, hindi ka naman, wala ka naman certification in fitness. It's just life coaching. So why are you, talking to clients about, like losing weight, etc. And I just want to really just bring to the forefront that I'm not giving any answers. I think a lot of people's misconceptions is pag life coach ka, nagbibigay ka ng advice. It's actually the complete opposite. We don't want to give advice because nga, we don't know what's best for you. You're the one that knows what's best for you. All we can help you do really is help you find the answers for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's one of the really common misconceptions. Like whenever we refer, let's say, to you, to Kathy, they always ask, how old is she? What does she do? Is she in my field?
Yeah.
But life coaches, guys, they are not teachers. They are not instructors, basically. They are guides, diba?
Yeah.
Like whenever we talk about energies and all that, we talk about spirit guides, where they will not tell you what to do. They will ask the right questions. For example, when I remember the last patient I referred to you, so she was having like a lot of autoimmune issues, etc. So, but one of the issues is she knows what she needs to do, but she's having a hard time executing it, and we're having a hard time figuring out how for her to execute, because kumbaga we lay down all the tools na eh. She has someone to prepare her meals, etc. But why is it that it's not going there? Why is it that she's not able to achieve it? And then, syempre, may issues yan. So that's when we start referring to life coaches, because it's their lives already that needs to be, they need to figure out something so that they'll be able to get to their health goals eventually. So there. So I don't know. And daming feeling ko it's like the process of life coaching is not as linear, diba? Like for us, whenever we say, oh, we give a diagnosis, these are the things that you need to do. It's kind of linear. Okay. Yeah. Of course, it's the in between from getting from your point now to your goal is kind of that's the hard thing to do eh. Yun yung medyo pa ikot-ikot ka kasi ang dami mong issues. Madami tayong pinagdadaanan, guys.
Correct.
So what does the process look like? And like for your first session with a client, what usually happens, and then what happens from there with your future sessions?
Yeah, well, usually I start with an assessment. So the clients would fill up a form and they would kind of rate their aspects of well-being. So I can just get a better idea. So like in terms of health, rate it 1 to 10. In terms of your relationships, rate it 1 to 10. Your spirituality or your connection to God, rate that 1 to 10. Even your playfulness, like, do you make time for yourself? Do you have hobbies? I have them do that. And then, of course, after the assessment, we kind of go through it, and they also kind of share what their pinaka goal is of why they wanted to sit down with me. And you'd be surprised kasi sometimes yung pinaka goal nila, like I had this client that came in because she was doing the Elimination Diet. And she was medyo takot siyang magsimula. So she wanted to get coaching around that. And she was so focused on the Elimination Diet, but after doing a little bit of digging, which happens during the first session, is where I really questioned the goal. Like, ito ba talaga yung gusto mo? Or may something under that na feeling mo ito talaga yung gusto mong ayusin, but there's a bigger underlying factor that's happening. So like what happened to her focus was solely on, hindi kasi like taga dito ako, so I'm really stressing out, saan ako bibili ng like organic meat and etc. And then after doing a little bit of digging, the real issue that she was struggling with was actually control and that fear of failure. Na paano pag ginawa ko to, and then wala pa rin nangyari, so that means that I failed there somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Time out. Yeah. For people lang who don't know what the elimination diet is, kasi I know that people think, diet lang naman yan, di ba? But there's actually, kaya siya nahirap, ang dami kong patients na nagsistruggle with it. It's really because of the thought that you're gonna remove a lot of the food items. So the goal of the elimination diet, for those who weren't able to watch our previous episodes, it's really to cut off the main food items in your diet that usually causes inflammation. So because of course we want, the whole point is to lower down your inflammation so that you're basically, if you have low inflammation, it's one of the factors in health that you're generally healthier. So when we go through an elimination diet, I think Kathy, you actually went through this. I made you go through this, diba? Yeah, ang daming tinatanggal na nasa diet na natin as Filipinos. It's already a staple since we were young. So yes, I understand that the mental thing na, oh my God, ano pang kakainin ko? Baka wala na akong ibang makain, di ba? Even if you give them, kasi guys, when we give an elimination diet, it's already laid out there. Ang isang malaking papel yon na andun lahat ng mga food items na pwede mong kainin. But yung nafo-focus are the little things na bawal, di ba? Because like eggs, we try to remove eggs from the diet, dairy, etc. So yun, I think that's what gets stuck in the minds of people. Na, ang dami kong bawal kainin. So yeah, how did you help your client when it comes to that?
So like it was interesting kasi nga we did a little bit of digging. And yun nga, like, so she had these issues with, fear of failure. So what if I fail and then sayang lahat ng ginawa ko, etc., etc. So doing a little bit more digging. And this is what's interesting kasi with life coaching is we really find out what your limiting beliefs are and where they come from. So once you can identify where that limiting belief comes from, it's easier for you to detach from whatever belief it is that you're holding on to. So, I did a little bit of digging with her and she realized that, you know what, I'm also like this at work, because how you are in one aspect of your life is how you are with all aspects of your life, right? So I was like, okay, so when did you kind of start believing that, in terms of, whenever you do something, you will most probably fail? And she went way back to when she was like in grade school, and like she was finishing ganun pag life coaching talaga, like, where did your limiting beliefs start? Saan mo una narinig yan? And it's usually our formative years. So she realized when she was in grade school, and she was always the first out to submit her work, ganyan, and then her teacher told her, alam mo, masyado ka nagmamadali parate, napaka-careless mo. And that
word,
ang careless, stuck with her. So simula nun, she started to get this fear of failure. Na if I submit something, if I do something, it won't be 100% kasi ang careless ko. So just by being able to identify that, she was able to slowly kind of let go of, okay, worst case scenario, you fail at the elimination diet. You weren't able to stick to it. So what? If you fail for one day, you can start din naman tomorrow. It's not that big of a deal, right? And then you can just start again. So it really depends on your commitment, but just her being so hard on herself, ayaw niyang simulan. Kasi umpisa pa lang, takot na siya, alam na daw niya na mag-fail siya. So setting herself up for complete failure. And just going through that, we were able to identify, pag feeling mo you're about to do something or you're self-sabotaging your progress, what does that look like? So we were able to do that. And then every time that happens, she can take a pause na and say, I'm about to do something that I shouldn't be doing. And I'm not showing up for myself. I need to take a pause before I do this. So it really is also giving her that sense of awareness of her patterns and her habits na she may not be aware of, that leads to self-sabotage. And that's applicable not just to the elimination diet, but to all aspects of her life as well. So I think she found that very useful.
O, 'di ba, nag-start sa diet tapos napunta sa buong life,
Diba?
guys. Ang lalim. Actually, totoo yan kasi when we've gone through a functional medicine consultation with me,
Yeah.
and we really go through every single aspect in your life. And
Mhm.
we really get to see a pattern that this one is connected to this and to this, and it's really in life coaching that you'll be able to talk to someone about those issues.
Yeah.
Because for example, for us doctors, our goal is really to identify these issues, but we're not coaches, we're not kumbaga, we're not therapists as well. So we can't really help. It's kind of hard to guide
Yeah.
sometimes when you're given a limited amount of time. That's why, hence, Kathi is there for you guys. So now, for example, when you started, so one session first, and then when is usually the next session
Well,
when it comes to your coaching?
when it comes to coaching, I strongly recommend at least once a week. That way we can form that structure that will keep you accountable to whatever progress it is that you're wanting to do. And usually I suggest a package of around 6 sessions or 12 sessions, just so we can really work on changing that mindset, creating that awareness. Because a lot of the times then, the good things with life coaching is we provide a different space for the clients or the patients that come in. A lot of the times sanay sila, let's say, alam mo, may mga tao talaga na alam mo yung sobrang negative na nagtataka tayo, ba't ganyan yung taong to? Parang wala na siyang sinabing maganda. Sa 10 magandang
Madaming ganyan.
labing isa yung napaka-nega. But the thing is, a lot of the time kasi that's also their space. Like their family, ganon yung mindset nila. That's how they were trained. And sometimes you need to take yourself out of that space and experience a new one in order to kind of say, oh nga no, parang ito pala yung feeling pag masaya ka for like an hour straight. Parang gusto ko to. So how do I change that? So that's another thing that coaching provides also. It's just another perspective of what's going on with you. And I think especially with health, I realized, I came in sa inyo, I did the consult, I did all the treatments, and I realized that it really isn't just about the physical. It's very, health and getting to that sense of wellness is a very emotional journey for a lot of us, because we're changing so much of what we feel is normal and really trying to reprogram ourselves into this better way of living. So kung nasanay ka na for 30 plus years, your comfort food is chocolate, chips, dinner mo parate is fried food, and then your doctor says, oh, you have to start making better choices, a lot of emotions come up because for you, hindi to normal. Like this is not my comfort zone for me. I have to start eating more vegetables. I have to start, sleeping a lot earlier. And a lot of kind of internal fight comes up, which our doctors don't, they can't address, di ba? Na, bakit ako may resistance pag kumakain ako ng gulay? Alam ko namang tama, para sa akin naman talaga to. But ayaw na ayaw ko. Or bakit kung kailan ako patulog na tsaka ako iinom ng kape, tsaka ako nanonood ng TV, and I'm setting myself up to fail. So those are the things that as a life coach, we will kind of unpack, because behind that, there's a lot of fear. A lot of fear, and it depends sa tao, right? Like there's a lot of fear of what if it doesn't work? Like my client, what if I put in all this effort and hindi gumana, sayang. So I'll just stick na lang to my comfort zone. So it's really up to the coaches then to kind of help you out of that comfort zone, in a space that makes you feel safe and also helps you kind of realize that, itong mga ugali kong to, it might have served me back when I was younger, when I was like 7, 8, 9. Now that I'm in my 20s, 30s, 40s, it doesn't serve me anymore. So I think it's time not to let go. And that's the journey that you really take with your coach. It's really those aha moments of how to show up better for yourself and how to challenge yourself to make better decisions. Kasi lahat naman tayo, alam naman talaga natin kung ano yung kailangan nating gawin, right? In order to be healthy.
Yes.
Pero hindi
Yes,
natin
I
nagawa.
agree.
Yeah. So, diba? So, the coach,
Kailangan,
yeah, so we just find that spotlight na, diba, alam mo naman to eh. So, ano kailangan natin
Yeah.
gawin? Para, alam, so you
kailangan
can,
ng tagapukpok,
oo.
hammer.
That's
Ganyan.
that's the coach.
A very gentle hammer, actually. Sometimes that's what we need. It's nice that you mentioned that, to take them out of their space, because sometimes I always tell my, sorry, can you hear my kids? Sorry. Sometimes it's nice to talk, it's such a refreshing thing to talk to someone else, to see that's outside your circle, to give you to ask you certain questions that you don't normally get asked, because that's when you get those answers also that you don't normally answer, that you don't normally say. Because if you hang out with a certain group of people all the time, may ano na yan eh, may sarili tayong buhay, parang may structure na yan on what you talked about, your frame of mind, etc. So when you go to a life coach, it's like opening up a whole other window, a whole other space, and it's kumbaga no judgment when it comes to, there's no judgment when it comes to asking the questions or giving your answers. Para kasi that's your job, kumbaga. It's really to show that person a whole other dimension of what they can do. So sometimes we're so limited that we're feeling that we're stuck in a box, and that's the only thing that we can do. So it's nice. So diba, weekly yan for at least six sessions, and then after that, how do you know if they're good? Kumbaga, how do you know if graduate na sila?
That honestly depends on the person. So what usually happens is, sige, they're gonna get the package that say, okay, I want to work with you for 6 sessions or 12 sessions, and during the first session we already set our goals. So it's like, how do you want to see yourself after these 6 sessions with whatever it is the goal is that they're working on. So let's say if it's weight release, I want to see myself na having lost like 15 pounds in a safe way, and just feeling better about my weight loss journey, for example. So we can work on that. So 2 things can happen. Either they finish the 6 weeks, and let's say they still want to work on it some more. So we can always, of course, like add more sessions, so they can do ad hoc sessions, which is as needed, or they can just sign up for a whole another package. Or what a lot of clients do is, when they're done with one goal, they like the experience so much kasi ang dami nilang natutunan, that they start looking for other goals. So,
diba, parang na ibang aspect naman.
So parang, sige, ito naman, like professional naman, or financial naman, or relationships naman yung gusto kong i-explore. And yun, what's wonderful kasi about life coaching sessions is, even for me, is I love it because coming in, you never really know what to expect. Diba? Kasi kanya-kanya tayo ng buhay, and once we start unpacking those layers, coming from, for me, like the sense of curiosity of like, why are you the way you are, and how did you become this person? It's just interesting to see the stories that come up of, how they develop these belief systems that they have. And it's also such a win for me when we can like change those belief systems with something as simple as repeating a mantra to yourself every day or every morning, telling yourself that I am enough, or I am lovable, I am kind, I am smart. and just seeing how that affects people's lives. Something as simple as giving them homework of creating their gratitude journal. Which helps with neuroplasticity. Lalo yung mga mega nega na tinatawag ko na ito
I
nga
love
yung
that. Mega nega.
mega, mga alam mo yung parang wala silang makitang maganda sa mundo. I give them the gratitude journal and positive psychology. It's called the 3 blessings exercise. And what that does is it really helps retrain your brain to focus on the good things that are happening in your life instead of the negative. So they would start out, they'd be like, Coach, hirap na hirap ako maghanap. Parang at the end of the day, when they have to write it down, they're like, ano ba nangyari sa buhay ko ngayon na pwede kong isulat? And it's a challenge. And then you'd see after like a month or two, they get into it na. And then after 3 months, automatic na siya. When something good happens, they're like, oh, sige, save ko yan mamaya para masulat ko sa journal ko. And that for me is like the sign that things are changing in their brain in terms of learning optimism. And then you can see other good aspects as well, that they're a lot happier, they're a lot more resilient when it comes to things that are popping up in their life. Hindi na sila pa-victim. So, just those simple wins for me, just seeing how people change through like 6 sessions for me is just, it's amazing.
Nakakatawa yung mga terms natin, no? Mega nega, pa-victim. Kasi ang dami, guys, totoo, ang dami naming nakukuhang patients in Centro that are going through those types of things. I think even before the pandemic, it's already been an issue. And then the anxiety started building up even more with the pandemic. And the next thing you know, they come out of 2020 with such a negative mindset. Then when they come to the clinic, it's like whenever we tell them, we can do this, you can do that, let's take this, they're like, kaya ba talaga to? Bakit ganito? They start questioning a lot of things. Grabe! And I think you've seen it also with your clients and even with our friends, diba? With the people that we work with, how they've changed all throughout this past year, or more than a year actually. And it's a mindset that whenever I think we've talked to like me to our energy healers in the clinic about the power of negativity and positivity, and we have such negative energy or negative thoughts in our minds and in our hearts, it will really affect your entire being, down to your health, diba? Imagine you can only hold on to so much type of energy, and if you hold on to such negativity, even your thoughts and negative thoughts, it will really affect your entire well-being, down to your like digestion and your immune system. Diba?
Yeah,
It's really, and it's, guys, diba? It's not just energy. It's not just like this whole, what the person sabi nila, it's all voodoo and all that. It's not. There are actually studies coming out now. When you have negative thoughts, it actually affects your neurotransmitters. It affects everything. It affects your gut, etc. And I'm sure you've encountered clients like these that have all of these negativity in them, and then just turning it around can really change everything in all aspects in their life.
for sure. I think that there was a study that actually the physical manifestation of disease is already parang the last manifestation. So it really starts with spirit, and then it goes into emotions, and then mental, and then the last talaga is the physical manifestation of what's happening inside you. So it really is like, healing really has to be on all levels. Like you can try and heal your physical, but if the way that you think is very pessimistic, is very negative. Uy, nakakatanda din yun pag mega nega ka, like mas mabilis kang
nakakapangit.
Oo, it affects you on a cellular level. Which is why learned optimism is so important. Really relearning and teaching yourself how to, be more positive, and also to be aware of toxic positivity. I think that's another, tayo as Filipinos, we have a lot of that because we're naturally people pleasers. We are very we're very heart-centered, very emotional tayo as a people. And we tend to want to keep to want to make people happy. And a lot then of the clients that I get, that's their issues when it comes to personal relationships, and it probably manifests into the physical as well, is because bigay sila ng bigay. We have the martyr syndrome of, ay, kung hindi ko gagawin, sinong gagawa? So lahat na lang inako. We have those people who don't know how to say no. And then, of course, they end up being like super stressed and are trying to manage everybody else's life but their own. And, I also get a lot of clients who struggle with boundaries of being able to say, na, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the space for that right now. So there's also a lot of what I like to call emotional literacy involved then with coaching, I feel, especially when it comes to us Filipinos. Kasi parang pinalaki tayo na parang, alam mo yun, nung bata ka, pag nag-iingay ka, parang, huwag ka maingay, or wag ka magulo, quiet ka lang. So we really learn to keep it in, as opposed to, let's say, like our more Western counterparts na, like if they hear their kid crying, it's usually, oh, what happened to you? Like, where does it hurt? Can you tell me what it feels like? So bata pa lang, sanay na sila to express their feelings, and they already have the capacity to kind of say that, Mom, my tummy hurts. Like, it feels like something is squeezing it, as opposed to tayo na, quiet ka lang, sige ka, kukunin ka ng pulis,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, because we were taught that in our formative years, growing up, we've learned to keep quiet and just people please. So it's really a lot of unlearning for us as well in terms of the culture and being able to express how it is that we really feel. And yung pinakamahirap na realize ko working with clients is people don't know how to identify their emotions. Like, for example, I have a lot of people coming to me saying na, oh, I'm depressed kasi I have anxiety. And I'm like, my first question usually is, okay, so have you been diagnosed as depressed? And they're like, no, feeling ko lang depressed ako. So, because depression and anxiety have become like popular terms nowadays, that's what people gravitate towards. But after digging, parang, are you just sad? Or are you frustrated? Like, ano yung feeling mo? And they don't know how to identify that. So for me, even as a coach, especially when I do health coaching, that's the number one thing that I find people struggle with, is really how being able to identify what it is that they're going through, so they can manage whatever it is that they're going through. I think especially when it comes to food. Food is such an emotional topic, no? Para sa ating mga Pinoy. Nagagalit tayo over food. Pag tinanggal mo yung Coke Zero ni ganyan, ay magwawala yan. Or
iinumin ko? Ganyan.
or expect mo na moody. Bawal fried. Parang, paano yan? Lahat ng pagkain namin sa bahay is like that. So,
exactly.
Being able to identify, are you angry or are you feeling frustrated? And how can we deal with that moving forward in a healthier manner? Is actually one of my biggest struggles, because people are just stuck in the emotion. Lalo na pag inisip nila na tinanggal mo yung paborito kong pagkain, or like, bakit, ano nakakainin ko? Anong klaseng quality of life to? If I cannot enjoy my Coke and my ice cream.
True. In Filipinos, kasi whenever we celebrate, we have food. Whenever we're depressed, we have food. Whenever we're not doing anything, we eat food. So food is really such. Sorry, my kids are like in the same room, so they're so noisy. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, I'm glad also you mentioned the, what you call it? You mentioned something earlier about us wanting to keep on pleasing other people.
Yeah.
Because we see that a lot in our consultations. Whenever we ask, of course, we go through a 1 to 2 hour consult with us. We ask a lot of questions. And sometimes we get that feeling na they will tell us what they think is the right answer.
Yeah.
For example, I asked, how's your bowel movement? They will tell us, oh, it's regular.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, okay, how... Diba we make you guys answer a symptom questionnaire.
Yeah.
And then nakalagay doon, parang it's they have other gut issues, and then we
Mm,
know that hindi siya tama with the regular bowel movement. So we keep on asking other questions, but they
yeah.
will tell us, no, it's okay, no, my bowel movement is good. It's like they want to please their doctor, and we always tell them, oh, like one of my number one thing in the start of at the start of the consultation, guys, you tell me na what's real, because I will find out eventually. And you
Mm,
don't want me to find out bandang huli when I've already made your program. And
oo.
alam mo yon, and hindi pala tama because you didn't tell me that. Or I'm gonna find out in your live blood analysis anyway. So
Mm-mm.
might as well tell me now what exactly you're eating. Mga ganyan. Kasi di ba,
Yeah.
we tend to people please eh. I mean,
It's so
even find
automatic.
myself, it's so automatic na parang I want my doctor to think na I'm healthy. That I
Oo.
don't really need all of these things. But we'll find out eventually anyway.
Exactly. Parang pinahirapan niyo
Yeah.
pa yung mga doktor niyo.
Totoo. Pinahaba niyo pa yung consultation natin, guys. So, ganun din with life coaching. Kaya maganda, parang you just tell your truth because there's no
Exactly.
judgment.
Yeah, that's
I
what
have a
usually
question.
happens. Mm.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say that's what usually happens first session then. So like first session is the break the ice session. And I tell them straight out that I'm very prangka. Even when I'm not a coach, like I'm very prangka. I'm just gonna put it out there. But of course, no judgment, honestly. And that's I think that's what helps ease them in because whenever I feel that something isn't aligned or something just feels off with whatever it is that they're saying. Kasi a lot of the times parang ano rin yan eh, they want to look good. Diba? They want to look good in front of their doctor. They want to look good in front of the life coach. So no, it's not my problem. It's the other person's problem. So I usually start calling bullshit. So I'm like, no, that's bullshit. What's really happening? Or no, that doesn't that I don't feel that that's the whole truth. So what's happening there? So I think just also in kind of training the patient or the client that I'm not going to accept the nice and phony that you give me is also a really great for me at least a really great way to get them to show up as more honest and authentic. And then later on, yung nakakatawa dyan is they a lot of clients keep wanting to renew or sign up for another couple of sessions because they find that this is the space where they can be authentic. So they're people pleasing everywhere else, and then they can come to me, and this is me.
So, parang naging safe space ka, gano'n.
Basically, yeah.
Safe space, yeah. Kasi, yeah, like what I mentioned earlier, if you talk to somebody that's not in your circle, you know that there's no judgment right there. But I have a question, because, like, as a human being, you have your own set of beliefs already, or a set of I don't know, theories in your head that you follow in your daily lives. How do you go about it as a coach, as a life coach? How do you go about it when someone comes in and they have like an opposite way of living, or like theory in their head that they want to
Mhm.
live by? Like, how it's not naman illegal, alam mo yun, nothing illegal, nothing like that, but it's totally different. So how do you go about it?
Um, for me, it really is just coming from a place of non-judgment. Again, like I operate, or most coaches talaga, we operate on the premise that, you come in, you're already whole and complete. You just maybe have goals that you are struggling with, or certain beliefs that don't serve you. So we can do a couple of things, like we can maybe question. So let's say if there is a belief that I feel may not be serving the person, then we might explore that if it comes up. But for the most part, show up as you are. I mean, I have worked with a lot of with a couple of trans intersex people who also come in. They can be quite confused about who they are, where they are in their journey, etc. And all they're looking for is some sort of clarity. And all I do is I like you said, I help provide the safe space for them to explore, who they are. So, like for example, with trans, right? Parang there is a whole emotional, mental confusion that happens with the physical changes, and you have the hormonal changes, etc. And all they really want is to be heard and to have somebody that they can bounce ideas off of, or thoughts about themselves that are that that most people may not want to hear. And I that's what I do for them. Just be able to hold space, be that mirror, ask them, is this really true choice, or are you trying to please somebody in your family, or are you trying to conform to an idea of being trans that you feel, or is this really you showing up as you? And even those like simple conversations can kind of give a lot of light to them in terms of their own aha moments and who they feel they want to show up as their authentic selves. So really, it really is talaga like no judgment. I come in, I have my own parang I have my own rituals of, okay, this is not about me. This is about me holding space for somebody. I'm going to show up for them as they need me to be. And then I just allow whatever conversation is that they want to happen. The only time I would probably stop having a conversation, having the coaching conversation, is if I feel they're not coachable. And when I say not coachable, this is, I feel that, let's say, I do see that you are exhibiting signs of, let's say, clinical depression. So I don't think that I can coach you, but I can recommend you to a therapist. Or, I can see that your issue is really more around issues with the law. So I can't help you there, but I can recommend you to, but,
So
all
the
other
question,
aspects.
yeah, I think that's a common question, no? Like, what is the difference between a life coach and a therapist? Diba? Because parang with you, what ano yung difference here? Like, I'm sure you get asked that a lot. But how are you guys different with like psych therapist, mga ganyan?
Well, I think like number one, like we can't administer medication. Um, I think another big one is we are mostly focused on future goals. We try not to dig into the past as much as possible, because that's a whole can of worms that most of the time will probably require therapy. So we touch on it if needed, but we're more focused on the future. What is it that you want to build for yourself? What is it that you want to create for yourself? Or how do you want to show up for yourself in the future? And we work with it from there. I think another big thing as well is that as coaches, the industry is not regulated, unlike with therapists. So this is a really sad thing about my industry, is like, honestly, anybody can show up and call themselves a coach or a life coach or whatever coach. The big difference, I think, will really come to terms of how you were trained. So let's say for me, I've had over 60 plus hours, 80 plus hours of coach training. I've had over 100 hours of coaching before I was even certified. I'm certified with the International Coach Federation, which is the gold standard in terms of coaching. And so those are my credentials, but not everybody. Some take a weekend class, like a weekend seminar, and at the end of the 2 days, they call themselves a coach. So really, I think also in terms of that, try and do your research when it comes to the coaches that you kind of plan on working with, because not everyone is trained the same way. Not unlike with therapy, where there really is a standard that you have to follow, and there is a license that's given because you've passed those standards. I think for us life coaches, it's really it isn't as regulated, and not as many people undergo the process. Like Kimmy definitely has. I know that she's certified as well. But one of the barriers to entry to that, especially living in the Philippines, is it's expensive. You have to pay in dollars,
You have to
and
go.
Yeah, and it's first world rate, at least for now. So yeah, so be careful, and like similar to a therapist as well. You want to be choosy when picking your therapist. You want to make sure that you get along with them. Same with your life coach as well. Try and meet them, have a conversation. I offer discovery calls wherein you can kind of get to know me and my personality and ask me questions, and I can get to know you, and you can kind of decide and try to figure out, do I want to work with this person, or do I want somebody who is maybe a lot stricter with me or has a more softer approach, etc.
Yeah, I think it goes the same with doctors as well. But you choose your doctors. I'm sure all of our doctors, like in Centro, we're all trained. We're all good in our own ways. But
Yeah.
there are some people who just really they connect more with like yung mas mga mas stricta, yung mga
Oo.
mas parang their buddies, or parang they want na yung mga may paternal ganyan. So that really depends on your personality, who you really connect with.
Yeah.
That's why you really have to get to know your doctors, and don't be shy to realize that, okay, parang this person is not working well with me. It's fine. It's all about connecting, diba? I'm sure you've had clients that you've had to refer to some other life coach also, because they're not, I know, not either not connecting with you or mga ganyan, diba? May ganun lang talagang tao. It's just like how
Exactly.
friends are. Ganun.
Exactly. And parang, and for a life coach as well, being able to say, now, you know what, I don't think this relationship is working. Can I refer you to somebody else who's maybe a better fit? It doesn't mean that, for example, like you as a patient, there's something wrong with you, or us as a life coach, there's something wrong with us. It's just that, like we feel that you might be better supported with somebody else that may get you a lot better than us. At the end of the day, as long as you get the results that you need, kung sino man yan, like we'll be happy as long as we can see that you're seeing progress.
We're at the top of the hour, so we have one question here that I love. Actually, it's from Gerard Ferns. Can we flash this? How do we flash this?
Yeah.
Okay. The question is how to win every day. Kathy, as a
I love
life coach, how do you win? When your clients ask you, how do I win every day? How do you tell them? What's the process?
I love that. Okay, so for me, how I would, well, this is more advice. It's not the coaching, because I can't ask Jared questions. But for me, in a personal level, how I feel that people can win every day is by, number one, having a solid morning routine. This can be something as simple as waking up, saying your prayers where you talk to God, meditating when I feel God talks to you, and doing things that kind of fill up your love tank kasi it's meant for you. This can be giving time to have that cup of coffee and enjoy your quiet moment, or giving yourself time to journal, or doing yoga, whatever it is, but really waking up and not looking at your phone muna, and being able to put yourself first at the start of the day for me is super important. Number two is setting an intention for your day. How do I want my day to go? I think this is something that a lot of people forget to do, or they don't realize that they could do. In terms of, okay, I want this day to be like filled with opportunities. I want to meet some amazing people that can help me further, whatever it is that I plan on doing, and I plan on having like a light, amazing Sunday, etc., etc. And just trusting that, okay, this is what I'm expecting, so this is the type of day that I'm going to have. And number three is just showing up authentically as you. So that is no people pleasing. And that can be as simple as, alam naman natin pag fake tayo, di ba? Whenever we're nice and phony, alam naman natin, like we have that look. So being able to check yourself and ask yourself, ano ba to? Am I people pleasing na naman ba? Or gusto ko pa talaga tong gagawin ko? And being able to just do those check-ins. And ano ba to? Saan ba galing to? Is this galing dahil gusto ko, or because I'm trying to please somebody? And being able to be honest with yourself and do that definitely sets you up to win. And I think number four last is learning your boundaries. So, and being able to express them. Kasi a lot of the times, tanggap lang tayo ng tanggap and then pagod tayo at the end of the day. And we're like, ano nangyari sa araw ko? Parang wala naman ako nagawa na para sa akin. Lahat ng ginawa ko para sa ibang tao. So being able to check in and say yun boundaries and being able to tell that other person na, thank you, I really appreciate it, pero maybe not now. Or can we take a rain check? Pwede ako sa ibang araw, but I'm kind of full today. So, in order for you to win every day, it's really being able to, start your day with self-love, set the intention, be authentic and keep checking in with yourself on whether or not your decisions, your actions are coming out of authenticity or coming out of people pleasing. And then with that, also really establishing your boundaries so you don't get people coming in and invading your space. Because for me, that's what kind of leaches a lot of our energy. Is itong mga unwanted people na hinahayaan pa rin natin na pumasok sa space natin that we keep saying yes to. So with that, I feel that you are really setting up yourself to win.
I think when it comes to winning also, just a little thing, having, talked to Kathi all these years already, I think the one key thing to winning is actually defining what is your win. Because your win is different from another person's win. So you cannot compare, diba? You have to be like what you said, you have to be very authentic. You have to know your strengths and your weaknesses and you work from that. Because you cannot set a bar too high. You cannot set a win too high if you know in yourself it's not attainable. You have to, diba? Parang ang dami, I'm sure you've seen this a lot in your coaching, na may ang daming tao, ang taas-taas ng standard. Na when you ask, saan ba nanggaling yung standard na yan? Si ganito kasi, or nabasa ko somewhere, or alam mo yon, they masyado na mataas talaga minsan. And it's kind of hard to win when you have that mentality na I have to reach this even if you know in yourself that it's not. Or sometimes you don't know. That's why we need someone to ask that question. Kaya mo ba? Diba? Or what are your capabilities to reach that goal, to reach that win?
Or a lot of the times, kaya mo ba? Pero kaya mo ba ngayon? Kasi a lot of people in the 21st century, we're all about instant everything. So instant results. So how can I get instant results right now? And I think that is the most the unrealistic expectation. A lot of the times, what we want, kaya naman natin eh. Pero ang tanong, like, kailan? Like, kailan mo yan kakayanin? Like, for example, if I say, oh my God, I love Billy Hackinson. Like, I want to be like her.
Right?
Parang, girl, kita mo naman how many years she put in to build that physique, that body, all the self-care and self-love she put into that. I know
the
I'm
confidence, ganyan. It just projects, diba?
So I know I'm not on that same level, but it's nice to kind of want to be, so I can work on that. But it's unrealistic to expect na I am going to have I'm going to be the exact same weight, have the exact same muscle composition as her, have the exact
waistline.
Exactly. But I can show up as trying, as I can look at her and say, I love that woman's confidence. I love how much she has treated her body so well. I love how much she has focused on her health, etc., etc. Take those values and work on that for myself and see kind of, what I would kind of look like at the end of my journey. I may not be a Billy, but at least I can turn out to be the best version of myself. And that's what's important.
It's different kasi to inspire, to be inspired by that person and to make that person your goal.
Exactly.
Diba? Parang to aspire to be siya. Iba yun eh. Parang you have to make that person an inspiration for yourself. I love this what Doc Cat Miranda said, that also celebrate the small wins, which is true.
Sure.
in everything, diba? Life is a journey, and you have to, you know, that 1 pound that you lost in like a span of 1 week is a big thing already. If you haven't lost anything in
Uh,
the past 5 years of your life, diba?
exactly. That, and even like not just small wins for yourself, but also calling out other people on like things that are going well for them, or like, complimenting other people and just sharing that whatever good energy that you have, also helps. So you're not just showing gratitude for yourself, but you're kind of sharing that gratitude. I remember something funny, like, you know me naman, doc, diba? Like I love to throw out compliments. And there was this, I didn't realize this. A friend pointed it out. So she was with her husband, and I was like, oh, like, I love your husband. Like he just has such nice energy, and like he's, like he looks really good. Like he looks like he's been working on himself, blah, blah, blah. And then she went, Kathy, I love you, but just, just so you know, other wives may take that the wrong way whenever husbands. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but I know that it's not coming from a place of malice, but I guess but you do understand this is just me just genuinely wanting to compliment like your husband's like weight loss journey, right? So,
They
like
might take it the wrong way.
I'm like, so yeah, it's just really interesting to see as well, how other people like, kind of react to you spreading kindness and generosity, and happiness, and just kind of seeing the place that they're coming from. Like, no judgment, but I know that like mine, whatever I say, it's just meant to be nice. And then I guess her filter is just a little bit different. But yeah, don't let that kind of dissuade you from just passing it around. I think especially now, I'm getting a lot of clients who are working on and want to be more kind and loving with the people in their lives, because they've been stuck at home for a year and a half with that person, and they're starting to realize that I'm not as nice to them as I thought I was. So that's kind of an interesting kind of trend that I'm seeing with the clients that I'm getting now.
Interesting. I'd also like to highlight Doc Ven's comment. Kathy does ask great questions. I can attest to that. I think some of us have actually worked with Kathy and, gone through a session with Kathy. So yeah, she does ask good and timely questions that you haven't even thought of sometimes. So yeah, so if you guys, we're actually at the end of the hour, but yeah, I'd like to invite Kathy to, how do we get in touch with you? How to book a session with you?
Yeah. So
Take it away.
yeah. So since I am doing telecoaching for now, of course, you can book me through any of the branches of Centro Holistico. They can set up the meeting for you. And I'm available Monday through Fridays.
Great. So no weekends for Kathy, guys. All
You
right.
need to work on
So
other
thank
aspects of your life.
yes. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you guys have other questions for Kathy, you can just plug it in the comment section or in our Instagram account. You can send it in. We're gonna post some of the tidbits about this session, about this Wellness Weekends episode up there. And do catch us again next week. We're gonna have another very interesting topic for next week. So see you guys again at 10 a.m. next week, Sunday at Wellness Weekends.
Yes. All right.
All
Bye, guys.
right. Thanks, guys. Bye.